today we have two amazing guests. I mean, we have Isemin Abia, who is one of my dear friends, known this man for like 10 plus years. And then we have Mohammed Ali El Sheikh. El Sheikh. Yeah, El Sheikh means chief in, I think, Aramaic. Sorry.
I don't know.
Chief in Egyptian, yeah.
All I know is that it has different meanings. 3 different meanings that are crazy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
There's chief, there's prince, there is scholar.
All three of them give C-suite. All three of them give executive.
So executive of Oakview Construction, which is the company that Isemin and El Sheikh co-founded. And so basically today we'll just be having a conversation with these two brothers on what the state of construction looks like in Nigeria, but also their approach to construction, because they're taking a slightly different approach as opposed to fully concrete, building with concrete 100%, doing maybe partial with wood, partially with concrete. And I think it's interesting. And so today we'll just explore what the advantages of building with wood are and what some of the disadvantages could also possibly be.
Most definitely.
So yeah, these are like smart brothers. I mean, Isemin Mechatronics.
Mechatronics. I just learned what mechatronics was. But yeah,
Iron Man stuff.
Tony Stark stuff. You know what I'm saying?
And then El Sheikh, civil engineering. I mean, the man also runs like multiple businesses. He has.
We're talking real entrepreneurs.
Real. He has an entertainment business, Jiggy Entertainment.
Also has a restaurant,
Susu Grills. And so if you want suya,
hey, look, we gotta ask him.
That's where you get suya. That's your suya pod.
Susu Grills.
Exactly. And this video is not sponsored.
It's not sponsored. Unless they want to sponsor us with suya.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, please, we'll chop it. We'll eat it up on this camera,
please,
in front of everybody.
But no. Jokes aside, these guys are amazing, and so I'm really looking forward to this conversation. And I mean, let's have some conversations.
Noble conversation.
Exactly.
Noble conversation. Go on now.
I know there was a recent proposal that was put out requiring that if a foreign company wants to do business in Nigeria and they want to bring in, foreign employees, I think they have to pay a $10,000 this thing to the government for each regular foreign employee, and then for director level and management level, you have to pay $15,000 per employee. I know that's something they're still revising, but it sounds like one of the reasons the government decided to like continue, at least put a pause on it, because there were concerns that could prevent foreign direct investment. So would you say that the same thing applies to that particular rule in the Petroleum Act?
I just love that you're informed, because even in addition to what you just said, actually, there's also a new capital requirement of about $500,000 for foreign direct investment. Like, aside from when you're investing in the country, right, you have to pay to the Ministry of Interior. The Ministry of Interior now requires the equivalent of about $100,000 with coppers as a foreign company. This aside from what you just said. So these are a lot of things that government is bringing up as. Most of it is actually politics of local manufacturers. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. Like, local manufacturers just fighting competition, and usually they would lose. But let's not go into that. Now, as to the Petroleum Industry Act, it's a different case, because what the government is not saying you pay an extra $3 million. Like in the case of a community, you made $100 million from an oil well in one community. The government is not saying you bring an extra $3 million for that $100 million. The government is saying that of that $100 million you made, right, you paid $3 million to the community development for which you set up to develop the community. So you're not paying an extra. It's just from the so instead of making $100 million, you're now making like $7 million. And if you think
the
about
net profit.
If I think about it, like, if we're being honest and true to ourselves, the amount of money these companies pay in bribes, not useless, but superfluous regulatory charges to the government, to as extra, I would say extrajudicial taxes, because those taxes are useless. You could get very, very funny taxes in the petroleum industry, the petroleum industry in Nigeria. So these companies, like the $100 million you make in Nigeria from an oil well, these companies usually lose up to $20 to $30 million of it, and they were fine with it. So you cannot all of a sudden, because we're now asking you to pay $3 million, you are now complaining. No, right? And the petroleum industry has actually
Yeah.
reduced most of, like, I think operating tax is now even as they reduce. A lot of all those are like licensing itself. Before licensing for an oil well you develop was way higher than what it is today. So what you said, yeah, sound as a way to disincentivize people, right? People are not encouraged to invest. But the truth of the matter is, Mobile used to pay way more than that. $3 million is a barely for them now, like in my community now, it is a, what do you say? Barely a scratch on the surface for them. So it's not an incentive.
Yeah.
Is there a way that the government enforces, or that the community enforces, that the money is actually spent well, or is it just strictly up to that committee to decide?
I'm
Like,
sorry,
for
guys.
example,
Like,
like, yeah, money is distributed, right? But like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess what I'm trying to get at is like, okay, yeah, there are a whole bunch of loopholes, this, that, and the third, but how do we know, or how does the government know when that money is, like, distributed, that it will be used for what it's supposed to be used for? Or is there anything that holds these accountable? Is there any body that holds the committees accountable to do what they're supposed to do?
So what I would say is, in response to your question, is that it's like it's a new initiative, right? It's going to take a lot of time before things like accountability, success rate, and all of that. Like most of those metrics, before we start to measure those metrics, it takes a while, right? And I mean, it's just last year that the government started enforcing it. So the act was passed in 2021, but it took like at least almost 2 years before the government could start telling the companies to, go back to your host communities and actually develop them. So that already gives us an idea of how, like, it's going to take a while, right? So these committees now, traditional rulers, market leaders, right? So like the head of the market union in that community, and there was the head of maybe trade union, also transport community, and the traditional ruler, like the king of that community also, will be on that committee or a representative. It will take a while for it to catch up and for us to perfect it, right? But the most important thing is that it is there. Before, these communities were neglected. There was no committee. All companies would just simply spill the oil, make money, and develop Lagos, Abuja, like other cities. But now, like, communities are being carried along. And for someone who's from an oil producing community, I'm just excited by it. So as to how construction comes in, for instance, my
let's
community.
get a little bit of construction, because I want to hear, because Sheikh, you run operations and project delivery, right? Isemin,
yes, I
you're
do.
managing director. And I'm
Yes.
sure this is not the only thing that you guys are doing. Like, Sheikh, you do entertainment, you do fashion, So, like, Isemin, you're also doing work with Unipro. So,
Yeah.
tell us more about the construction side of things as it relates to Oakview and oil companies partnership.
Well, was that question directed at me?
Anyone is. I'm just throwing it out there.
Okay.
Yeah, because I want to understand.
I don't really know anything about the oil thing though, but as an
Yeah,
operations manager.
we can start with operations, and then we'll move to
Yes.
how it connects to
Okay.
oil, because
Yeah.
I know you guys, as opposed to using concrete to build, you guys are moving towards using wood
Timber.
to build, and we have questions
Most
about
definitely.
that. So
Yeah, questions for sure.
yeah, we want to dive into that.
No problem. Well, as an
Sheikh,
operations
talk about, like,
manager,
operations.
Yes, before Oakview, in all the businesses I'm involved in, I usually happen to fall in the operation aspect of things. So it was natural that in Oakview I found myself in the operation aspect of things. But for Oakview and aesthetics, the timber takes center stage, of course, and the whole idea is to be innovative in reducing cost and also in introducing structural integrity and functionality for these structures and whatever construction method we are adopting. Now, in Oakview and aesthetic, operations is a bit tricky because we are not a regular type of construction firm. Where other people are thinking about just getting the regular materials, there's like a manual for getting things done. For Oakview, you have to actually formulate and develop these policies for ourselves. So basically, what I usually do, and the operations is not a one man thing. I just hold the title of the operations manager, but the whole group still imputes into getting operations getting properly done. What we usually do is we settle down, put out a work plan, check what are the most feasible approaches and methods to achieving our results, integrate them into day-to-day operations and get results. But in the end, I will say that there are natural orders things and there are natural laws of getting things. We have economic laws and financial laws. We have operational laws too, which is paying attention to the smaller details, the bigger picture, getting projections of long term, medium term, short term, and putting that all together gives you a streamlined order of events. As the operations manager in Oakview and aesthetics, I just make sure that we are all in line in all departments. Like Abia, like Isemin, that the managing director is always overseeing marketing and hosting meetings, while the architect is coming up with designs and the CEO is thinking about implementation. I just make sure that we have all these activities going in line with one another and we are not having an issue of overlap, more of correlation. We make sure that we are formally integrated and we are moving as a unit. So the operation can be called the center pole of the board or the group. We make sure that it holds. And like I mentioned, I just hold the title of the operations manager. It requires the entire group to create a streamlined order of operation.
So why wood? Like why
Why
build with
would?
wood as opposed to traditional concrete?
Why? Well,
Because
first of all,
Yeah.
well, First of all, you see the use of concrete from a civil engineering aspect. The use of concrete will require us exploring granite, exploring cement, and other materials, which is deplorable to our environment because these are non-renewable resources. Timber, on the other hand, is a renewable resource. You can take down 100 feet and plant 1,000 more over time. You get, but however, the seismic actions that come from exploring granite and other materials has a huge effect and impact in our environment, and it actually increases the heat. Africa being a hot place and a lack of trees and a reduction in existing minerals is on the high side. We find ourselves going into a red zone of a healthy environment. You get given the effect of global climate and all other things. So we came up with the idea of integrating timber and reducing the impact of taking from our immediate environment and replacing with timber in construction, reducing costs, increasing structural efficiency. And as the fact that Oakview is using timber, now we have the social responsibility, of course, to uphold the integrity of our environment by making sure that this timber is renewable. We keep replanting these trees, we keep sensitizing and orienting the environment and our clients and whoever is consuming our product that, okay, this is more beneficial to you, the environment, and the world at large.
It's interesting you brought up like sustainability because at the core of our
Yes,
CSR,
this
corporate
was
social
yeah,
responsibility,
yes, yes,
is we intend to plant
oh,
10,000 trees here in Nigeria every single year. Even as a startup, as we are working to raise capital and looking at how to raise capital to plant these trees, right? And there are some trees that are going extinct, some plants that are going extinct. And when we want to do salt
yeah,
for ourselves, we can't find them. We have to import
mm,
from outside, from Europe, and some from like Ghana. Imagine importing trees from Ghana, which is very very not very sustainable. So for us, at the core of our CSR, is actually our plan to import
it's gonna
10
be
to plant 10,000 trees.
unsustainable. You see what I did there?
Yeah.
Yeah, sustainable energy. Now it's not sustainable
It's,
because
it's,
you have
it's
to.
gonna be. It's gonna be.
Oh,
It's gonna be.
It's gonna be.
I
This
saw
guy,
that.
Noble,
I saw
Noble.
that. I saw that. Don't leave
Well,
us,
yeah, you
please.
see, like we get the full picture of our role, like in the construction industry, and we know that look, apart from as lofty as our plans are very lofty for the construction industry. We also understand the environmental aspect of things. I can't imagine like someone taking down a tree in front of my house, which has given me so much shade, right? To come and say he wants to use it and build my own house. I would shoot you in the leg. Sorry, I'm not a violent person, but you can get the idea of how messed up that is. So at the core, as I said, like it's something that we are actively doing. Our budgeting, right, for this year is like, look, as we're buying, as we're procuring materials, as we're paying salaries, as we are going for media and marketing, we are going to be planting those 10,000 trees.
So, from like a standpoint of, say, there is a house fire over there, and in some places of Nigeria, and where it's like, okay, so what's gonna happen? Like, we were lucky, we were fortunate enough to have a fire department and have a fire truck come on time to prevent the rest of the house from like being ruined. But it's like in a place where Nigeria, where like such infrastructures aren't as developed,
Yeah.
if wood houses become the paradigm, become the normal,
No. Well,
how
well,
would-
I will
how would you
actually,
guys- how
I will
would you
answer that
think
question.
such a thing?
If I'm going to answer that question, I will say this first. You see, for Oakview, we don't necessarily mean it's 100% timber integration. That's why we keep using the word partially replace. So the idea is to partially replace some integral parts of the structure with timber. For instance, where you have the entire perimeter of the structure made out of concrete, but the partitions within the structure are made of timber. And then there are sensitive areas that may have to be made out of concrete walls and concrete walls. So basically, given the nature also of our geographic environment, it cannot be entirely fully timber. But when you have the innovation of replacing some structural parts with steel, timber, and concrete, and timber taking the center stage, meaning we'll have more timber than other materials we use to replace. Not necessarily that it has to completely replace the concrete. I hope you understand. So the idea is that moving forward, of course, as the physical infrastructure of the country improves, we can properly shift from full concrete to full timber at certain places and demographic areas. Yes.
Got you.
Yeah.
But as of right now, you guys
also
are pretty much
to add-
trying to marry the two and meet in the middle. That's
Yes,
the goal.
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. And as to, in addition to what El Sheikh said, we're actively looking at treatment that can make our wood fire resistant, right?
Yes, last longer.
There's a lot of work we're doing. Yeah, there's a lot of work we're doing because I'll give you a personal experience. My house caught on fire in 2015. Yeah, 2015. My house in Nigeria.
I think I remember.
Part of
that,
it.
was I?
Yeah.
I think I
The
remember.
parlor side, yeah, up the yeah. So essentially, but like the fire did not
our house
spread.
is not too far from each other. So
Really?
it's like
Yeah,
the same.
yeah. So like the fire did not go beyond that room. Why? Because it was a door. It's a wooden door, but you expect it to go beyond that room, but it did not. Why? Because we had treated the wood, right, to be fire resistant. Right? There are chemicals that you can use, so you just be applying it. I think biannually, yeah, every 2 years.
I used to treat and
You apply it, yeah. So you treat the timber and it becomes somewhat fire resistant.
What kind of chemicals do you use to treat the timber to make it fire resistant?
I think this was
Currently,
because
because we are not
sustainability
yet-
officer was here who have made the best. Yes, he will have made the best
Yeah,
answer
they
for
did.
that because he's currently researching.
So we have
researching
we
on
have,
the best
we have
methods.
yeah. Yeah, but I can speak to
But they do.
essentially
Yes.
we have a head of sustainability, right? One of our co-founders. So he's an agricultural and bioresource engineer. Okay, he studied it at the bachelor's level. I think he's even looking at furthering master's level in agriculture and bioresource sustainability. So as to the chemicals, most of the chemicals that are used here in Nigeria, from the preliminary studies, they tend not to last. When you apply it, you have to apply it again. So we're looking at longevity because how will I remember to reapply a chemical on my wood? Like I mean, after 2 years, it would probably the chemical will fade off, and then a fire catches my house, and to burn it down. Right? We were even lucky, self. We're almost close, we're almost due for another treatment of the doors. So I'll say, like right now, we one of our another thing that we may have failed to mention is that like we are really big on research, right? From our wood source to how we drive our marketing, every single aspect of our business is driven by research. So I don't really want to make any preliminary statement as regards the chemicals used until maybe our head of sustainability comes up with the full report on how we intend to treat most of those those fire, this ones that are like fire prone, right? Especially if it's doors or windows. So maybe when it's done, maybe we can speak on it. Maybe our next maybe another opportunity in the future, he would be the one speaking and not me, because this is literally it's literally in the head of our sustainability.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. Another thing that I'm thinking about is from a foreign direct investment perspective, right? You have certain countries that invest heavily in Nigeria, specifically in the construction space. How do you see this contributing to basically a homegrown company in the construction space as opposed to
competition?
Yes,
like
as opposed
displacement,
to
maybe.
Exactly, because I mean, there's nothing wrong with foreign investment, right? But at some point, some companies could basically take jobs that home companies or companies that are grown and developed in Nigeria could work on. I don't know if that's making sense.
I think another way to phrase that question is like, how do you reconcile like foreign investment and with like foreign investment with these companies in the real estate place, in that real estate environment with where do you draw that line between this is good for the community and this is bad for the community?
Exactly.
In regards to the displacement of the people, in regards to in regards to like, keeping opportunities away from the people, because with foreign investment comes the ability to come and quickly conglomerate in these specific places. Like you can see oversaturation of foreign companies who are in the real estate place. But for example, a company such as Oakview, one that's actually created by people from the country and all that stuff. So like, where do you draw the line between this is good for companies like ours and it's detrimental because it's detrimental in regards to like, the competition and all that.
Yeah. Also to add a little bit more specificity to the question I'd asked before, which I think Daniel helps to really explain it well, is you have China, right? And Chinese companies. And these companies, have helped in great ways to advance and develop, the construction industry to an extent. But at the same time, you also want to have Nigeria and Nigerian companies to be able to stand independent of those investments, right? So how do you strike that balance between you can partner with other countries and companies from other countries, and you're not allowing that to control the affairs of the country and the locals there? That's the question.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah, I think this question has three sectors. It's economical, it's political, and at the same time, it's managerial.
Exactly.
It's not holistical. You cannot reply it from a holistical approach. So it will determine the economical aspect of things, the political aspect of things, and of course the managerial, that internal structure of how a company is set up. Let's say, for instance, a company like Oakview now, thankfully we have somebody like our MD who has proper political networks and.
Wait, sorry, you said
proper political networks
like Oakview now.
Like Oakview, yes, and our MD, of course, who has proper networking and connections. This is very interesting. So the idea is that it will have to. It's a bigger picture, but if I'm taking it from a smaller point of view, that's from the company point of view. It will depend on how you intend to engage and interact with foreign investment. You have a foreign investor coming in saying, okay, I want to invest $200,000 in your company, and I want you to create an estate that is made out of the timber and appreciating and all of that. But what about where the source of the timber is coming from? Is the source of the timber, are you importing? If we're importing, it's directly affecting our foreign exchange. If we're if we're sourcing locally, where are we sourcing locally from? Will it affect the environment there? The environment there, what about the communities there? How will it directly affect them? So I think all of these things, like Abia said, will require a lot of research and a detailed approach and a very meticulous and articulate method in reaching these goals. You can't just wake up and say, okay, we can't take foreign investment or we can take foreign investment. You have to look at it from all these approaches, all these sectors, and be able to take a more informed decision of how to move about this. But I think that in the end, foreign investment, it depends on the intention of the investor. If the investor is looking to develop a conglomerate for itself on another continent, it may not really be in your favor. But if it's looking at it from a humanitarian point of view, if you look at it from a humanitarian point of view, it may be in your favor. So I think we as a group, like not necessarily Oakview, we as a country and as the people of the country have to actually be very strategic and scientific about how we go about these things.
Okay.
That should be my answer for that.
Okay, so to add to what my brother Sheikh has said, he has actually captured it all. Look, when we came together, all six of us from this company, we are acutely aware of most of these challenges, and what we sought to do was essentially balance things. Okay, so even when the time we had this like conversation about there was this investor, right, that wanted to like bring up money, and was conversation about like, oh, the person's background and what the person does, and in Nigeria a lot of our wealthy people in Nigeria are not very what's the word well, they have very questionable backgrounds, right? So there was the question of, oh, what does that say about us? And we had that conversation, and it was very interesting. And in fact, one thing I love about Oakview is that like I'm learning so much from this company.
So did you take the money? Did you collect the money?
I'm sorry, that is for us. We cannot say
that's an in-house thing. That's confidential.
Okay. But like it's the same thing, right? Like, so I'll say it's the same thing. Because like if foreign investor comes in, right? Obviously they usually have like their own conditions for investment. Like for instance, CCECC, most 90% of the managerial and even the site roles are run by Chinese. You don't find Nigerians doing those stuff. So and it puts it there as part of that clause. Like if you're doing a contract with CCECC now, if you're the governor of the state in Nigeria and you want to CCECC.
Wait, what's CCECC?
China Civil Aviation.
It's a construction company. It's a Chinese construction company.
China Civil Engineering and something. CCECC.
Okay.
Right? So you're doing a contract with them now. So that's foreign investment. CCECC, for instance, now, they have actually denied Nigerians of some certain jobs, right? Like, you can't be like site managers, the main managerial positions in CCECC is only done by Chinese, right? So that's like our jobs being lost. But the Chinese government said, look, if you're going to take our loans, right, and do this construction, it has to be with CCECC. So that is an example of an example of construction.
Yeah, is that an example of where that the proposed policy to have those companies pay 10,000 or 15,000 if they
essentially obviously a lot of people are
Okay.
So I will just give you like an example of illustration of what you just said. Right, so obviously foreign influx of cash could come with some certain conditions. But I'm going to be very frank with you, right? We're a company, right? As much as we have to change the world, we need to make money, and uh, unfortunately, sometimes we may have to, make some certain changes, or should I say sacrifices to make that money. Not kind of sacrifices.
Okay, okay. Can I? You know, can I?
But just
I can't say I do.
You make sacrifices.
Oh wow.
It's
so,
an
but,
idea.
but generally,
You're always acting.
Where he's doing it.
Yeah.
the thing with us is like, if we are doing a construction in Abuja now, right? All the artisans must be from that vicinity. You understand? We don't import artisans for our works. Okay? Maybe we could have like in fact, the only place where I would say we even have a gap in maybe just foreign, yeah, just importation. Because as I said, some of our wood we have to import it because they are not available, right? So rest assured, at least in that regard. Then generally, I think the watchword for us as a company is balance. That's our watchword, balance. Whether it's economic, political, operations, everything. We're always trying, even our design, right? In our design, whenever we have design meetings, we're trying to make design for clients. At the core of it is like, we're like, okay, how do we balance client demand with their budget? How do we balance client demand with what is obtainable, or with regulatory compliance, right? Because there are some, what you call the Nigerian building code, which informs some of our design. There are things you cannot design literally. So even if you are Picasso or Michelangelo, no one gives a damn in Nigeria. You must follow the laid down regulations for how to design. And it varies for states, but you can see like our watchword essentially is balance in everything we are doing.
Okay, and so in terms of the real estate industry in Nigeria, like where do you see that industry going over the next maybe 10 years? I mean, you have 3D construction companies like the ones I showed you, right? Across the world. How quickly do you think that technology will reach Nigeria? And how do you see the real estate industry developing over time?
So, as a construction company, Oakview is part and parcel of the real estate industry in Nigeria. Okay, because you can't have real estate without construction, right? And Nigeria's building model, because our goal long term is mass housing, right? In the long run, we want to do like mass housing schemes, with concrete and wood together. You understand? Maybe the concrete will be itself as the main structural, the main structural material for the house, and then wood comes in as a staircase. You understand? So mass housing is really at the core of our business strategy. So, Oakview being like part and parcel of the real estate industry, we understand the role we have to play, and our goal also to, as I said, to get into mass housing. Now, 3D construction. The funny thing with Nigeria is Nigeria can shock you. And I'm not just talking about like the crazy things that you see online, right? I'm talking about like the way technology is adopted in Nigeria. So there are some technology that can take years, right? Like 10, 20 years before we actually start to adopt it and integrate it. And there are some technologies that we sometimes, if you could do your research well, we even beat developed countries in terms of adoption. Some developed countries, they could want to introduce laws or maybe regulations before they actually adopt it. But Nigeria, almost once you get rid of it, like I'm saying, like the crypto space now, Nigeria actually, like I would say, we blazed the trail in terms of the crypto space globally.
Yeah,
like that is a fact.
blockchain technology, all that
The
stuff.
blockchain technology, it is a fact, right? So it's very hard to predict because Nigeria, as I said, can shock you. Today now, the country can, drag its feet with adoption of new tech. Tomorrow it will shock you. But right now, I would say as things stand, I don't know, tomorrow things could change, but as things stand, it will take a while before 3D construction can really catch up. Us now as a company, at Oakview, I mean, if you could get a hand of that kind of technology, it could go a long way for us. Because what that means is that we have something to differentiate us from the rest, right? So if I came to you as a Nigerian and I told you, look, how would you like to have the first 3D built home in, say, Lagos, right? It's something that's appealing to you. Something that we can use to sell ourselves that, okay, Oakview, our construction is done in 3D. So the thing is, Nigeria,
Especially since there's a technology that cuts the cost of production in terms like it reduces
exactly,
cost of production.
exactly. So as a startup, imagine a startup that's strapped for cash.
Production.
So
Yeah.
as a startup that is strapped for cash, it will go a long way for us. You understand?
How quickly do
It
you
will go a
see
long
Oakview getting to that place where you guys are doing like how what is Oakview's timeline from where you guys are at now to mass producing the homes like you mentioned earlier, especially with the integration of technology and at the rate technology is growing. You know, I would say probably over like the past 10 years, I'd say technology has gone crazy. You know what I'm saying? And like you were saying, like I feel like once Nigeria catches winds of some things technologically, it goes even crazier. You know what I'm saying? So with that in mind, like what would you say the timeline is for Oakview to get to where it's looking at?
So there's something I failed to mention when Noble asked the question, which is that most, what am I saying? All the technology adoption in Nigeria is driven by the private sector, not the government. Most times, the government will step in when they see that people are making money from this thing, or maybe it has a huge influence on people. That's the only time, like whether it's social media, whether it's telecommunications, whether it's everything, even solar. Like now, I'm hearing that they want to come up with like a solar policy. Right? So most times, every time, tech adoption is driven by the private sector, right? As regards to where we see ourselves, what we want to do is we're pushing partnerships with the private sector. This is not really like well known, so I guess like this is privileged information for global conversations.
You like that?
Oakview as a company, as a policy, we do not pursue quote and unquote government contracts. We do not actively pursue government contracts. Most construction companies in Nigeria thrive on government contracts. You understand? But we quickly discovered that you're going to be an outlier. You're going to be someone who is pioneering certain construction techniques. You need to pursue it privately. Right? And that's not to speak ill of the Nigerian government or anything. It's just if you're going to want to make headway in the construction industry, as regards tech, I'm not talking about like you're just getting a contract from your brother who is the governor and then doing one shabby job. I'm talking about like creating value using technology, like Noble pointed out, like 3D printed, 3D manufactured homes, right? That kind of technology, most governments will not listen to you, right? So for us, we are driving partnership with the private sector. For instance, I'm not mentioned Omar Capital, who's one of our partners. Omar Capital is a company here in Nigeria. We are partners, and again also we are most all our
is that like a venture company or is that?
Yeah in Nigeria, Omar Capital. They have so it's like they are holding company, not actually they're not like a fundraising company, they're a holding company, right? But we got in bed with them because of their network, right? In the financial industry and ability to connect us, right? So maybe we are going to meet you now. We can easily tell you, okay, our partner is Omar Capital in the town. So we signed an MOU actually is in the works. We may have signed it. An MOU is in the works. Omar Capital in that regard. So they are actually pursuing private partnership as a company. Okay. So as like the question you asked about where we see ourselves, as a company, and with regard to also relation to tech, we want to be the drivers of tech, right, in the construction industry, because I mean, like, I saw a there was this interlocking laying machine, right? And imagine that was like 2 years ago or thereabouts. That was the Lagos State government was using. Who were praising it. Obviously, but it's something that they've been using in China for like how many years? Almost 12 years. So you can see like there's a long way to go, right? As regards innovation in the construction industry in Nigeria, and I guess also most of West Africa. So our plan is basically to pursue private partnerships, and we, as a company, we decided not to set this limit or that limit as to where we want to go or where we want to achieve, what we want to achieve, because most times that does more harm than good. Okay, for us, at least from this is just our own personal opinion, and we decided to say, look, we're going to actively pursue our goals, our ambitions, and we're not going to set like timelines. What we can do is that we can say by this time next year, we should not be calling ourselves a startup. Okay, so we set things in place that drive us towards where we are headed, but we don't set specific timelines, because from what we know, maybe it's different in the US, but in Nigeria, setting timelines for a company is not really the best. And one thing can make someone change overnight. Imagine now from this interview now, so a company in the US or in Canada say, okay, I like what these people are doing, and decide to get in bed with us, and then invest in some of our projects, our upcoming projects. Imagine that would now mean that maybe we give ourselves a 3-year timeline to reach a certain level, and that person comes and shortens it. We will not be able to handle that level of growth. So we prepare ourselves that, look, tomorrow we could get $1 million contract, right? So that what we do is we prepare ourselves that tomorrow we get $1 million contract. So we don't say, it will take us 5 years or 3 years, right? Or while still understanding the need to have a timeline, right? We as a company just decided, like, best if we just pursue what we are pursuing, right? Seek private partnerships, get our books in order, right? And just allow, I guess, Providence to take over the rest.
By this time next year, you guys should not be calling yourselves a startup.
Yeah.
I really like the way you said that. But yeah, I think you also said something about foreign investment and taking on contracts from foreign, companies and foreign investors and so on and so forth. And I would like to use that to like bridge into the next question that I have for you. And it's like, me, right? I was born and raised in Houston, you know what I'm saying? But I personally would like to go back to Nigeria and ultimately do work there in the real estate space and in like the construction space. Exactly. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, for me being a Nigerian American, how would another Nigerian American or someone, whether they're in the UK or anywhere else, as part of the diaspora in general, like what are some ways in which they could find themselves involved in that space, whether it be in construction, whether it be in real estate to any degree, and how do you see that also like helping the environment in ways that other foreign investment from like say China and all that stuff probably wouldn't, Like, what do you think?
Yeah, so essentially I would say, can you guys hear me? So essentially I would say I'll reply you in 2 ways, right? From the foreign direct investment side and from the construction side of the question. Okay. So the most important thing as someone in there, because diaspora is like, it's been a lot of push. Even governors in Nigeria, most of them are now pushing foreign direct investment. They're trying to tap into like the diasporan community. You see with Abia State, Mr. Alex is pushing the whole Abia, wherever you guys are in the world, come back and invest in Abia, right? I will make sure your investments are secured. I'll make sure that whatever money you're putting in is protected from usual Nigeria anyhowness. Okay, so there's a push generally both from the subnationals and the national, even president. Everywhere he's going, he's speaking about the exact same thing. Same thing with even our private sector, like Tony Lumelu, and a host of others. Whenever they go for most of these forums, they're charging the Nigerians outside. So, and um, it's not necessarily because like we are strapped for cash, but it's essentially because like I don't want to say I don't want to use the word fear. Right? But recent events, the whole Israel Russia like crisis, the Israel Gaza crisis and Russian Ukrainian crisis has shown that we opened our eyes to the fact that look, the best way to secure your country, right, is tapping to secure Nigeria is tapping into the diaspora community. Currently, the diaspora community is still doing $30 billion in remittances per year, and that is more than the country's budget, right? So the money Noble sends, the money Daniel sends, money you guys are sending to us, right? Cumulatively, more than what the federal government spends on its citizens. So we recognize that where the money is the diaspora, right? So there's no two ways about it. Now, as to channeling it, it's simply a case of knowing where and how to. And how to comes in with the kind of people you meet. I think I'll sum it up with who you are partnering with. You see cases of people in the US, UK, Canada trying to invest, like Nigeria trying to invest, and we have very funny, very funny stories, right? And most times because they use the right channels. Okay, maybe nobody can say, oh, because this guy is maybe his brother living in Nigeria now, gives him money. Most of that brother living in Nigeria just wants like our money being head, or he may not that he wants to scam you, but he doesn't know how to, right? So I think the same way there's the diaspora community. So I think there should be like a community or like a channel for driving diaspora investment. Why is it that every city in the world, like you can find a Nigerian community, but like here in Nigeria we can't have like a community that or a kind of a medium through which diaspora investment can coagulate or like can be crystallized to push initiatives. So maybe if you are interested in construction, right, why can't we have like a system where maybe like this is just me, this is just an idea. Maybe Oakview now wants to tap into diasporan community, right? So what will happen is we register with this Nigerian diasporan maybe setup, right? That you guys have done, right? So what that means is that you guys now have the opportunity to, in an unbiased system, look at what you want to invest in, not just based on because you know this person or because you've seen it on the internet. But essentially, Oakview as a company, right, in the construction industry, we have the opportunity to pitch to Daniel or Logo, right? We have the opportunity to talk to you guys in a non-biased setup, right? Nothing like we present to you what we are offering as value here in Nigeria. We present to you, okay, what have we done? Okay, so you're not just investing because you heard this on the internet or whatever. But I'm looking at a situation where OPP, right, would be able to, and even if you don't have the money, you can easily connect it with someone there outside in the US that has the money, but just want to push it to Nigeria. I don't necessarily have to be even in Nigeria. To be a Ghanaian or a Kenyan that says he wants to invest in Nigeria. So that's my own take on Nigerians in diaspora or diaspora actually influencing the construction industry. That's my own take.
Yeah. So basically investing and making sure that there is some element of connection between the community outside the
Yeah,
community in
yeah,
Nigeria.
Building that medium critical.
yeah.